Welcome to another episode of Coming to Your Senses, where we talk about navigating the labyrinth of the mind and emerging victorious. And today, my guest is Cynthia Lengefeld, who is a conscious life empowerment coach who guides clients to restore clarity, alignment, and personal power through a number of different modalities, including breath, body awareness, and conscious communication. Welcome to Coming to Your Senses, Cynthia.
Thank you, Jules. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm honored.
It's an absolute pleasure. And coming to your senses, as we've been speaking about before I hit record, is something that comes in at different angles, different meanings. And I think there's different ways that we can look at it. For me, this starting question is about, can you tell us about a time where you came to your senses and where and what that led you to?
It's a great question. And I have had several major events in my life where I did come to my senses. One of the first ones I remember, I married very young the first time, very, very young, to a very abusive personality. And I stayed in that marriage for several years until one day, as you say I woke up, you say I came to my senses, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I came to my senses and realized what my universe was asking me, what my creator was asking me within is, are you going to stay here and take this, or are you going to stand up for yourself? And as scary as it was at the time, I chose to stand up for myself, which meant an end of a marriage, a long battle because I was a possession. And so a long divorce battle, a lot of court stuff going on, a lot of things like that. Um, I thought he was nasty before. And then once I left, yeah, I understood the true meaning of the word nasty. And it was the best thing for me. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for me. I truly, truly believe that deep within my core. And so when I go into everything happens for me, it didn't look like it at the time. The hospital visits, the different things, it did not look like all this was for me at the time. And it was. My creator was saying, stand up, empower yourself, remember who you are, and move forward. And so I did. So that was one of the earliest times.
What I'm intrigued by that, I spent a number of years volunteering at a women's charity, and it wasn't the sole focus was around women that had experienced domestic violence, but it was a big part for many of the women that I went in and coached. And I think that it seems to me that for many people in that situation, there comes a point, and that point is different for other people, that awaken, that coming to your senses moment. Do you think there is any way that anyone from the outside can encourage that any to happen any quicker for anybody? Or do you think it's a point of the external people being patient, knowing that point can come?
I believe it's what you mentioned second. Absolutely. I had people in my corner saying, "Why are you still here?" And then I had other religious people in another corner saying, "You have to stay here. You married into this,
Okay.
you have to do this." So there were both sides coming in at the time. And I had to choose. You mentioned coming to your senses. I had to make a choice. Am I even going to stay on the planet? Because to me, I had a couple choices. I can just end it all and go, or I can stand up for myself and move on into something different. I truly believe input is really great. And until I'm ready to hear it, I have blinders on. I have my little set cage of where I am and where I believe I'm either supposed to be or where I'm moving toward, one of the two.
That must have been really challenging as well to have. I'm going to word it as four voices, which is the voice that's saying, the voice, collective voices that are saying leave, the collective voices from the religious angle, which are saying, no, you made the choice, stay. then the internal voice of the confusion of trying to find your way through that. But then what you're referring to is that creative voice going, stand up for yourself. How, when somebody's in that variety of inputs, how is it possible to navigate that, whether it's in that kind of situation or any kind of situation where we're being pulled in different directions and we're wanting to find that clarity? What can we do?
First of all, understand how codependent we are. And I was, for sure. Because in listening to the 4 voices that you were mentioning, my first thought was, well, it's easier just to leave the planet. I can just go and all this, I don't have to deal with any of this. I, quote, "don't have to stand up for myself." And I don't. I can stay and be codependent. I can stay in this relationship and be codependent. The voices that were saying, "Why are you still here?" My internal answer to that at the time was, because he won't let me go. Oh, well, it's not about him. It's about me. And I finally did go, and I did go in stages. I left for a time, and then religious voices, you need to go back. You need to work on this again, blah, blah, blah. He's changed all the things. Go back and try again. 2 or 3 times, in and out, in and out, in and out. And each time, as I empowered myself enough to leave, even if it was for this long, and experienced, oh, there are other people that are kind. There are other people who show love in a different way. There are other people. And the further I got from it, time after time after time, the more I really understood this is doable. I
Mm.
can do this. So we do hear stories, and I am one of them, of people, abusers, that go right back into it, and they go right back into it, and they go right back into it. Okay, I believe it's process. I believe it's just a little bit at a time. The next step on our ladder of remembering my own power. And the biggest question is, when I remember my power, do I trust my creator? Okay. If I can truly walk away from this, do I trust my creator? People stay. I stayed out of fear. Fear in being there and fear in leaving, which is my bigger fear. And as I was away from it time and time and time again, I began to understand there's a whole different world I can live in, and I can do this.
If you've listened to the first episode of Coming to Your Senses, you'll know that in the early 2000s, I experienced a breakdown. I tried different therapies, but it was coaching that truly helped me transform my life. Initially, when I discovered coaching, though, I couldn't afford it. And it was a kind soul who sponsored me not only to have coaching, but also to train and become a coach. And my promise to them was that I would pay it forward. And I've done that in many ways over the years, initially through social media and private Facebook group called Confidence Revolution, and also through Coming to Your Senses, the podcast. But it triggered for me a passion to really want to make and create a secure, supportive space for people to be able to come together and have conversations that transform their lives. So I created the Conscious Conversations community. It's a group where we meet on more than once a month, and we have a focused theme which is guided by the community and facilitated by me. There's hundreds of hours of learning and resources and materials to help you transform your life in a like-minded space. Because I get passionate about it, and because this was my promise to pay it forward, I'm offering you the opportunity to trial it for £1 for the first month. If that appeals to you, then head to juleswyman.online/conscious conversations offer. juleswyman.online/conscious conversations offer to explore what's available for you through being part of a conscious community. It's really interesting because to me there's patterns that I notice in humans, and it doesn't seem to me to matter our age, our generation, our gender, our backgrounds. There's a lot of patterns that seem to emerge over and over again, and I think this Codependency is an addiction, in my view. It's an addictive pattern that we can all get caught in whatever way. And I had as a guest a guy called Tim Haig a little while back, and he at one point was a mainline heroin addict, and he was talking. And his book reveals a very similar pattern that you're describing, which is what's triggered this thinking of the going out, but the coming back in, and the going out and the coming back in, to not only the drug addiction, but the gang, the fellowship, as we were calling it, and how these fellowships show up in different ways. And I think that quite often, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, that when I'm in a relationship, and one of the relationships that I was in was an emotionally abusive relationship a long time ago, and it took me a long time to recognize that I could step outside of that. But I think what happens is, for me, there was a description of, I'm a failure because this isn't a great relationship, but I'm trying to pretend that it is and put a smile on, and oh, isn't it great, and how lovely these things are. But if I leave, then I'm a failure because it's very then obvious to the external world that it hasn't worked. And I remember, I don't know how I would have thought it at that point, but as I'm reflecting on it now, there was this kind of being caught in this vicious circle of, I'm a failure with staying in, but I'm a failure with leaving, and therefore I don't know what to do.
Yes, very much so. And it's a codependence within about judgment for me. Am I a failure? Well, I should have, could have, would have, whatever, whatever, whatever. Those are the shame, blame, guilt words that keep us in codependence. And then there's the outside view of should have, could have, would have from other people as well. And then bringing that into me, well, what is this group going to think if I go? And what are they going to think if I go? And what are they going to think if I go? And truly, when we begin to, and all that's wrapped up in codependence, it's not a right or wrong thing, it's just an is thing. And truly, when we move into our empowerment, when I remembered my power, I can move into, is this really the life my creator created me for? Oh, no. Does it matter what anyone else thinks? No. I get to live my life, my creator created me for. And do I trust my creator to make it happen when I allow? Can I take a step? Can I be bold? Can I move more toward my created life? Why am I here? And this is really where I get back to basics of why am I here? And what is my purpose?
And what were those steps? Because I think, when you're in that conflict, and I've spoken about, I did attempt to leave the planet. I've spoken about it on the podcast, but I think that and I didn't have the dichotomy. I'm not part of, never have been part of a religious pull. So I find that very interesting when we have this structure of rules, and that's not a criticism of. That's just, to me, what a religion looks like. Is doesn't matter which one it is, a structure of rules. As the society has a structure of rules as well, it's less overt sometimes. When you've got that dichotomy, then how does someone, doesn't have to be you, how does someone see even the tiniest chink of that power in order to be able to start asking the question, what is my life my way? What is the value of me being here, without it having to come from the validation of an external world? Because I think that one of the questions that I notice, and actually I had a couple of clients in the office last week that this came up with, I don't know what I want. And another one was, yeah, but what are your needs? She's talking about being a people pleaser and happily doing that. And I said, yeah, but I'm not talking about negating everybody else. I'm just curious about, what do you need to put that at the foremost, you first, and them. And she sat there for a long period of time and went, I don't know. So I'm curious as to where someone can access that from, as a starting point?
So my starting point, let's go back to the religious rules thing, and that's where I was told is, well, if you walk out of this marriage, then you're going to go to hell. Okay, whatever that construct is, I've way moved beyond religious constraints now. And whatever that context is, I finally took into myself, I'm in hell now.
Mm.
So rather than look at what I do want, because I had zero concept of what I do want, I had to go back and look at what, and conscious language wise, I can upgrade this, and still, what do I not want? Oh, okay, well, I don't want this anymore. Absolutely not. Because this is where I am and this is what's going on. And you're talking to me about hell. Well, this is hell. Thank you very much. So I know that this has to go. And it's a process, it was for me, to get to allowing myself one tiny little shred of hope of, oh, I can desire something different. And then my next question is, what are my steps in my new desire? If I know this has to go over here, then I'm the one that has to make that choice. I'm the one that physically has to walk out with the clothes on my back, and that's all I had. Okay, fine with me. I got to a point to where I'm leaving the planet or I'm leaving this situation, one of the two. My question came in as what if? So, what if is a fear based question? What if, what if, what if, what if, what if? So, I can ask that either way. What if I go? What if I stay? Well, if I stay, obviously, this is going to continue exactly the way it has been, if even more so. Or what if I go? So my empowerment came in realizing I'm going even if. My powerful words are even if they condemn me, even if they don't, whatever, even if they this, even if I fail, to use your words from before, I'm failing here.
Mm.
What's the difference? I can fail just fine on my own and I can leave. And what if, again, the fear based question, what if I find something new? Not a person, a way of life. I get to remember me. Did I know all that way back then? No, I just followed my steps. Make a choice. Saying no, not changing anything is actually making a choice. It's a choice of no. So who am I saying no to? I'm saying no to my creator. And I created my own hell. Okay, got it. Lesson learned. So I get to go over here and find something new and trust my path and my purpose is revealed in perfect timing. I had years of healing to go through. I had years of forgiveness, to layers and layers and layers of forgiveness within me, to where I can actually think of what was going on over here and say, thank you. Thank you for reminding me who I am. Is there really anything ever to forgive? No. No, I was given what's the thing? A catapult. That's what it is. I remember now. I was given a catapult to move into who I am. So now I can look back and say, thank you. Thank you for showing me I have something way bigger in my life to do than be over here. And it takes time.
Yeah, the thing that really strikes me about all of what you said that I think is so powerful and empowering is the ownership of I'm in hell. And I think that that is a, for many of us, such that's getting on the scales and going, yeah, I need to shift that what's on that the number on there is doesn't define me, but it's not healthy. I need to get all of the bank statements out and the credit cards and I'm uncomfortable looking at all of that. But actually I need to be honest. And I think that there are a number of points in various relationships where I've been in where I've I be those intimate relationships as well as friendships where it's reached a point of this isn't of service anymore, and isn't of service of this dynamic. And it's not that one person's right or one person's wrong, in my view. It's just actually this interaction isn't great. To put a general term on it, it's not great. So you do you. I'm going to go do me. And I know I'm very simplistically putting it there, but it's that the recognition of, I think very often we can get caught in, be them marriages, be them long-term relationships, be them friendships, be them career relationships, be them, various types of relationships. We can get suckered in, and this is part of the codependency thing, I think, where we think we have to stay with them forever. When
Yes,
actually, if they are not serving a purpose that's of value to both or more people that are in there, then something has to change. In my view, something has to change. So I think that ownership of being able to honestly say, I'm in hell now, is a really big thing. And I think for some reason, I'd love to know your thoughts on. I know you and I have the same understanding around the word responsibility, and that it's two words and it's not a list of to dos. It's responsibility. It's your ability to take a pause and choose how you want to respond in a situation. That's my view on it. And I know that we have a similar view. What I'm curious about is, we're in allegedly 2025, and yet we still seem to have an abdication of responsibility. And it's not my fault. It's the government, the weather, the religion, the parents, the person, the this, the that, whatever. What do you think can help people take that responsibility, take that ownership without self judgment?
beautiful. Great question. And what it brings me to is way back when I was waiting for someone to come in and save me, which is the opposite of responsibility, my ability to respond. I had given away all of my power to all the judgment and all the people and all the things. So I'm sitting here, well, who's going to come in and save me? Nobody. I'm the one that gets to save myself. I'm the one that stepped into this relationship. So I'm the one that gets to step out of this relationship. In our world, and codependence is a great word, in our world, we move into, well, the government's going to send me some money, or the weather's going to change and I'm going to be able to whatever. What I've learned in the past 15 years is I create my own reality. My words create my own reality. My beauty is I began walking the path before I even understood my path, before I even knew what my path was, before I could even put words with my path. And now my response, my ability to respond, as you mentioned, is me stepping up and saying and asking myself, what have I created? And do I enjoy it? And if not, again, no right or wrong, nothing changes who I am and where I am in my consciousness, in my awareness, in my world, in my love, whatever it is completely up to me. Codependence runs the definition of they made me do it. They won't let me. They whatever. It's all about them. Well, there's no them when it comes to me, because I am who I am. And so when I step into my power and I understand, not even assume my responsibility, I understand my true ability to respond in my situation. Now I'm at a starting point, a turning point, a fork in the road, if you will, of what is my new choice? I get to make a choice. I can stay right where I am, or I can make a new choice. If there's one little inkly thing about what's going on in my world that I'm not happy with, I'm the one that gets to change it. I'm the one that gets to make a different choice. And so taking ownership to me is is just massive in our, I'm going to say it, growing up, putting on our big girl pants and actually grow up. And when I say that, it is funny. And when I have, well, I have lots of grandchildren, and when I look at my 2-year-old grandchildren, who made this mess? Oh, he did. There's 0 responsibility of taking ownership. I did it and I'm proud of it. Okay, nice. If you put a marker on the wall and you said it and you did it and you're proud of it, let's put a frame around it and move on. Okay, fantastic. The right wrong piece is so big, and we stand in our fear of feeling wrong or feeling others are going to judge us as wrong. And when I take ownership, there's no one else. It's all about me. I get to put back on my 2-year-old pants and say, "It's all about me. It's me. I'm first. I get to choose. I get to make my choices." Not in a way of downgrading anyone else, and still, I get to remember who I am. I fully believe my creator runs the show of my physical frame. That's how it works. If I had to remember to breathe every second, I'd be flat out, or beat my heart, or circulate my blood, or any of those things. And my creator sustains me. Awesome. Why? So I can take ownership and create exactly what I desire. Another coming to my senses moment years later, is understanding the power of my words. I create exactly where I am. Okay, my words have power. If I don't like where I am, I get to create something new. Not right or wrong, no judgment, no anything like that. Just, oh, what is my new choice? And my new choice can change moment to moment to moment based on going back to our previous conversation about how do I even know what I desire? I've shoved it down so long. When I even think of you were talking about your client. What do you choose?
Mm.
Oh, oh, I get to choose, and many times this is a meeting point of people just really waking up. Oh, you mean I get to choose? I
I
get to
think
choose?
I think that the thing that's jumping into my mind as well is the perceived selfishness of that, and that struggle. And in my experience, that seems to be, but not exclusive to, women. And I think we're conditioned into, as well as it being part of our natural, is to put other people's first, especially with children. And I think that the I was listening to what you're saying, and I'm trying to put myself in the position of one of our listeners, and I can hear, but that's so selfish, but that's so selfish, but that's so selfish. So I'd love to you, because I know that that's not what you're saying. So I'd love you to, can you expand out on that a little bit more to help clarify the lack of selfishness in what you're stating?
Yes. I will give you a personal example.
Brilliant.
um, so putting my one of the basic tenets of the religion I was in is the pecking order of God is first, family is second, and you are last. And it's all under the umbrella of being humble. Oh, well, and so what we've done is take humility to the point of pride. I pride myself in my humility. I'm not going to make any choices for myself because I'm so humble and everything's okay. And I'm going to be humble and everybody else gets to choose. Personal example. My father turned 94. He's still on the planet last August. I visited him, went in, taking you to dinner. Okay. He still drives and does all the things. I mean, he's very self sufficient, absolutely fantastic, awesome man, very religious box man. Okay. And where are you interested in going to dinner? Oh, you choose. What? No, It's your 94th birthday dinner. You get to choose. You cook your own meals. You're at home by yourself all the time. So I'm taking you to dinner. Where is it? Is it Mexican? Is it whatever? Where is it? Oh, no, you choose. I'm happy to go wherever you want to go. No, no, stand up for yourself. And he prides himself on being humble. And I'll go wherever you want to go. Well, when it's my birthday, we'll go where I choose to go, and it's your birthday, so let's go where you choose to go. There's a difference in running over people in our power trip mind and making my choices.
Mm.
I get to choose to walk away from this relationship. I get to put me first. I get to choose where I'm going for dinner on my birthday. I get to put me first. There are times, and the beauty of putting me first is I trust, I am secure, I am safe, and I can put me first, and then everyone else around me can put themselves first. And then we get to share in happiness. Oh, well, I'm happy if you're happy. No, that's not the way it works. I get to be happy in my own responsibility. I get to put me first. And then I can share my happiness with someone else. There's a big difference in putting myself above someone else. No, not at all. We are all equal, sovereign beings on our planet for our specific design and purpose. So if we're all the same, we get to share in our happiness. We get to share in our sadness. We get to share in our power. We get to share in our anger, our authority, whatever it is, we share. If we're in the right wrong pattern, then I'm taking something from you. If I put myself first, then that means you can't be first. No, that is not true at all. We get to all be first, and we get to take really good care of ourselves.
But there was something that you said there that I was like, ah, yes, of course, I can see that now, which I want to pull on because I think that most of us don't see or hear that a lot of how we are reacting is
Mhm.
through insecurity. So we are in the wobble, we are in the fear, we are in whatever that's going on. And to be able to express what I want or I need, well, I don't know how that's going to be received. So I'd rather squish it down, hide it, not say it, don't even know that it's there. But actually, when I'm in my security, when I'm truly secure in who I am, I can say what my need is, or what my want is, what my choice is, any of those things. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to throw my toys out of the pram if I don't get it immediately now. Thank you very much, above you. That's not what I'm hearing you say. What I'm hearing you saying is being able to articulate that so it becomes a conversation, so it becomes a point of saying, well, I'd really love food. I'd love to go out for a meal. And I genuinely have no preference of what food type. Then that's a very, very different thing to go, oh, no, I don't mind, you choose. That's a different thing. And I think that it sounds the same, that in my experience, it's only when you start to, and I'm talking collective you, look into languaging and the impact of that on just on the day to day and testing these things out, not seeing it as you repeatedly say, not right, wrong, good, bad. It's, and I twitch at the whole, is it positive or negative? No, it's neutrality, it's honest, it's accurate. That's more resourceful than trying to be positive, trying to be, happy and jolly all the time. That's not helpful. Be honest. So I love the clarification around that. So thank you for that. And I know that you even said it at the beginning that there's been many significant, I think you might have even said major coming to your senses moments. Are there any others that you would like to share before we start wrapping up the podcast?
Yes, and before we go there, I have one more point to go back,
Brilliant.
if I may. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm interested in revisiting what our society has created, what our world, our communities, our employers, our government, whatever, has created around there can only be one person served at a time. The beauty of our collective empowerment is we can all be served at exactly the same moment in time. It's not one person at the top and everyone else
If you
has to
get what you want,
acquiesce.
then I'm going to miss out. That's the
Exactly.
absolutely the
It's
dialogue, isn't it?
not or. The word
Mm,
is and. I can and you can. Your I can may be a little different than my I can, and we get to I can together.
mm,
Okay. So, putting in perspective, if I go purchase a new car, that doesn't change the value of your car. You still have your car. And if you choose to purchase a new car, go. Yes, you get to make a new choice and purchase a new car as well. My new car does nothing to your car at all. And yet we put each other in pecking orders. And we do that by bringing ourselves down by go and I love your word, we're going to revisit security, by going into my insecurity and my fear. Well, if she's at the top, then where does that put me? No, that's comparison. That's codependent. That's fear. That's insecure. Are there two chairs at the top? Yes. Are there 8 billion chairs at the top? Yes. We can all have our highest choice. We can all have our I can, and it has nothing to do with anyone else. So we get to put the shame, blame, guilt to the side. We get to put the shoulda, coulda, woulda to the side. We get to put comparison to the side. We get to put the ladder to the side, and we get to be who we are.
mm.
So thank
I
you for
love that.
that.
And no, 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 I love that. And I just think it's so true. And I think that we're pitted from such a young age in so many different ways, whether it's from a educational perspective, whether it's a sibling perspective, whether it's gender, whether it's race, religion, all of these different ways. And I think that the more, I think the message I particularly know that I heard is if you have a slice of the pie, then that's less pie left for me to choose from. When actually you have a slice of the pie and that pie just regenerates. It's just abundant, and I'm exploring a lot more around the quantum physics around that, and the more I see that, it, the more the more I don't need to finish that sentence. The more, actually, just the more that exists. Yes, and I appreciate you going back and talking about that. So yes, are there any other
And your
coming to
pie
your
example
senses?
is absolutely beautiful because I've given my own pie. You have your pie. There's you don't even like my pie. Okay, great. I don't care for your pie either. And you have so when you do something with your pie, go you. You still have your pie. I get to do something with mine. And so imagine 8 billion pies. Many then every choice I make for me comes from my pie, not anybody else's. And so beautiful example.
Love it. I love it.
So other things, let's go back to your question. I get to circle around and revisit your question again. What other times in my life have I had major come to my senses? I was a forerunner in many things in my life. I got here asking questions. And some of my questions were like, just stop. No, stop asking questions. Just follow the norm. Stop asking questions.
You,
And so I knew things instinctively that I began to question. When it came time to vaccinate my children. Like, why are we doing this? What exactly? And sincere, honest question. I had been through nursing school. Show me the facts. Show me where this is actually good for my child. Just do the things. Stop asking questions. I moved on. I homeschooled my children. Oh, so you think you're better than all the other children in the public
Oh,
school? Oh, no,
interesting.
no, no. I know this is my best path for my children, and I know why. And does that make the rest of everybody else in public school wrong? No. Again, my pie is my pie. So I had 6 children. I got questions again and again and again. Are all those yours? Yes, I have 6 children. Yes, I am homeschooling them. Yes, I am keeping them separate from well visits. I remember one particular time my youngest had a rash, called the doctor, said, "Hey, can I get her in for a visit?" "You have another one? Did you just have a baby?" "No, she's 8. She's never been here." "I know. Can I still get her seen?" "No." "Oh, okay. Your rules, your game. I can do something different." When I started down my path of essential oils and frequency healing, I have all kinds of toys in my house that facilitate frequency healing and all kinds of fun things. And people, "What do you mean there's no pain reliever in your medicine? You don't have a medicine cabinet?" "No, I do things different." And so I just question and question and question, which leads me to new path after new path after new path. And at first, people look at me really weird. There are many, many people now in America who have a lot of children. There are many people in America who homeschool. There are many people in America who use essential oils. When I was first introduced to conscious language, people looked at me like, "You really think your words mean something?" Yes, I do. Why? Because I'm taking ownership of where I am. And over the past 15 years, now there are many people who's like, this could actually be a thing. Yes, it can. And it is. And waking up to my language and what I choose, the way I choose to create what's going on in my life, I understand I've been doing it all along, and now I have a little box for it. Now I have, why was I being led into this path? I teach, I mentor, people who are drawn to me, they feel the same. I just ask a question. They have all their answers to their questions. We have stories. We live within the boundaries of our stories. We create our own limitations with our own stories, whether they're true or not. And as we can take a look at our stories and understand, are they true? Or is this something I've just made up? Now we can take a look at my power. Oh, I have limited myself over here because I've said these things. hmm And now I get to move into my power, even if I move into my faith language, my security language, even if everything in my world changes and it changes for me.
The thing that I am intrigued with, I remember when my dad was really ill in hospital. This is decades ago. He's not alive anymore. And I remember the nurse coming in and lining up all the medication that he was taking or being given at that point, and being the dutiful person that he was, just taking it without question. And I just asked the nurse, and these were genuine questions. I think I've been born into the family with the surname Wyman as a question, and it's a reason, because I do go, yeah, but why? Yeah, but why? A lot. So I think there's a reason I have this surname. And I remember asking, can you tell me what all these medications do? And she very, yes, dear, went through what each one, this one does this one does this. And I said, great, thank you very much. Now I know that. Can you tell me how that one interacts with that one? Because I'm not medically trained, but I do know that chemicals put together create a reaction. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, how does that one interact with that one? And how does that one interact with that one when that one's put in there, and so on? And how do they all interact in that specific body? And these were genuine questions. And what I notice is, whether it's in the medical realm or whether it's somewhere else, is that when questions like that are asked, they're often seen and heard as an attack, as opposed to them being I'm seeking more information. Please, can you give me more information? And I think that, and I've absolutely been guilty of it when I've been questioned about something before, of being, what do you mean? I'm not seeing them as right and me as wrong, or me as right and them as wrong. I can have genuine curiosity of, so you have 6 children, I have none. What's that like? What led you to have that choice to then have 1,000 grandchildren and great grandchildren and great great grandchildren? Then it becomes a genuine questioning. Or I can leave the conversation, but I think that very often we are conditioned into, because you are doing it differently to me. Therefore, it makes there's a potential that what I'm doing is wrong. So therefore, I need to justify it to prove that I'm right, rather than there being the mutual recognition that both can exist. It goes back to the and. It's not in either or, it's an and I love what you've brought to the table there, of that questioning. And what I was noticing was, what I heard in your retelling of it, of all the different questioning, yeah, but why are you asking that, is that it's their fear very often, it's their insecurity, that, and when I personally can have an understanding of that and not judge that either, and not judge them for having that fear or that insecurity, as well as not judging myself for whatever perception I'm in at that point, then there's a possibility of there being mutual understanding, or mutual, at least a mutual conversation, which I think is something that is very needed in this world at this point in time. Which leads me to the last question around, what guidance or advice could you offer those that have made it all the way to this point in the podcast? Because it does seem to me that the way the world is at the moment, doesn't matter what country that you're in, that there is, quote unquote, a lot happening. There seems to me to be a number of changes going on in the world. And I think for many that can seem unsettling, chaotic. So what advice or guidance could you give to help people navigate that, so that they can access some awareness or clarity, or something else even more magical?
Thank you. Great question. And one I have personally experienced over the past many years. Lay down your cross of right, wrong. Lead with grace and love. I was brought up in religion. I was raised in religion. I was steeped in right, wrong. What happens in right, wrong? Somebody gets to be right, somebody gets to be wrong. When we are in right, wrong, and judgment of all the things around us, we have no power. Think of what's happening in countries, for sure. America has a president, 2 people on both sides. There's people that I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm right and you're wrong. Opinions are huge in this arena, and there's very little middle ground. The middle ground is where we sit in grace and love. Let's go back. A country divided within right and wrong has no power. A family divided within right and wrong has no power. I heard a counselor at one point, a marriage counselor, say to one of my friends, "Would you rather be right or married?" "Can I be both?" "No, no,
I actually
because
said
if
that to
you're
a client
right."
on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you're right, then somebody else has to be wrong. We can both be right. We can both stand in grace and love. If person B's children are vaccinated to the hilt and they attend public school and they stay in their religious box and they do all the things, or there's no children, or whatever it is, there's no wrong way to do this unless we give our power up. And when we give our power away, we're saying no to me. And when I say no to me, I'm saying no to my creator. I have a whole YouTube on, and the title of it is I Say Yes to Me. I say yes to my creator in me. Does that mean anyone else can say yes to their creator in them as well. And I lead with grace and love. How steeped are we in right wrong? The opposite of right wrong is grace and love. I can give you grace whatever you choose. I can love you wherever you are. Why is that? Because I know my creator loves your creator, and I can see your creator in you. Are you making different choices? Yes. And I love your creator in you. I give grace to your choices. You, collectively, you, please understand, you get to live your own path. You get to make your own choices. You get to change your choices. You get to come to your senses. You get to do all the things on your own journey. And I get to be over here as your cheerleader in grace and love. There are 17 different ways to tie a shoelace, at least. Are any of them right or wrong? No. What we get into is, well, this is the way it's always been. This is the way we've always done it. These are our procedures. These are our protocols. These are the things. And this is why I do what I do. Okay. Thank you for your answers. And I choose something different. Let's do this differently. I make a new choice for me because all of what you just explained to me, yeah, that's not working for me. Because establishment says so? Nope. Give me some facts. Tell me. And I get to research. We have Google, we have AI, we have so many things now. I am empowered to search. I find my facts and I make my choices for me. And I give you permission, collectively you, to make your choices for you, all in grace and love. Even in my coaching situations, when I have people that come to me for body language coaching or life coaching or whatever it is they come to me for, and in my coaching situations, they come with a particular issue. We walk gently through the issue and we get to a point to where I ask the question, is it time to make a new choice? They can say yes or no. You get to make a choice. I get to say yes to me and I can say no to me. Saying no to me is not wrong. And that's what I offer myself. And that's what I offer every person I come in contact with most of the time. Most
It's a
of the time.
practice. It's a practice.
Yes, it
And I
is.
think, just to summarize that quote actually, or the statement that you made at the beginning of that, to answer the question was, put down your cross of right and wrong. And I think that is, if you can practice that for you, forget anybody else actually, and do it for yourself. The shift that can happen, I have discovered it for myself over the past probably 25 years plus, but it's definitely been in the last 10 years that's amped up into a way that I'd never expected. And I think that it seems so counterintuitive because it's what we've been taught, that we have to do right, wrong, good, bad, and the judgment. But actually, the freedom that can be experienced by putting down, I love the way that you phrased it, which is put down the cross of good, bad, right, wrong, sorry. And I think that the freedom, the lightness, the expansion, and to take a word that you've used many times in this conversation is power, I think is a great way to leave everybody on this podcast, is thinking about how can you engage with personal power? How can you experience it by laying down that cross? I think there are so many beautiful nuggets and takeaways from this conversation, Cynthia. I suspect at some point you and I will connect more in different ways. Thank you so much for gifting us your time. I'll put all of your details in the show notes so that anyone who wants to can reach out and connect with you. But thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You are so welcome, Jules. I am honored. Thank you.
Thank you.